name's Lela and welcome to Project Soch, where we talk about all things South Asian. This is the first in our series, 10-Minute Histories, where we focus on specific aspects of the South Asian culture and get a little bit more in depth about them and their history. Today, we're going to talk about Qawwali. Okay, so Qawwali is a style of Sufi Muslim devotional music, which has been popular throughout the Asian subcontinent for centuries. While it only recently gained worldwide recognition thanks to the popularity and the work of Qawwals like the late great Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan and its inclusion in Bollywood cinema, the commercialization of the art form has meant that its roots, its meaning, and to some degree its etiquettes have been somewhat lost, even to those who regularly enjoy the music itself. Now, I'd like to preface this by saying I am by no means an expert, and everything I say in this video is based on research and my own limited experiences with Qawwali. I'm fully aware that there's very little way to encapsulate such an ancient tradition in the 10 minutes or so of this video, and I really encourage you to do your own exploring of the subject. I promise you won't be disappointed. I've done my best to include some interesting sources in the description box below, so look down there for more details. With that, let's get on into the video. Let's talk a little bit more about the origins of Qawwali. Qawwali is rooted in the Persian Sufi tradition of Sama, the practice of using music, singing, and repetitive chanting, known as zikr or remembrance, to induce mystical trance and help both listeners and performers achieve a deeper spiritual connection. Sama can be traced back to the 8th century Persia, but Qawwali as a form of its own right emerged later, around the 11th century AD, when Persian migration to the subcontinent sparked a melding of Sufi traditions with the classical music of the subcontinent that already existed. So the word Qawwali is derived from the Arabic qawl, or utterance, and traditionally male lead singers, known as Qawwals, are accompanied by a small group of backup singers who recite verses in praise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Hazrat Ali, the last of whom, contrary to popular belief, is included in Qawwalis for both Sunni and Shiite gatherings. While Qawwals nowadays are often accompanied by the harmonium, which is a small pump organ, and the tabla, as well as rhythmic clapping, the harmonium is actually a fairly recent addition. Traditionally, a Qawwal was accompanied by the sarangi, which is a stringed instrument native to the subcontinent. However, the sarangi required retuning between songs, while the harmonium did not, which led to a decline in the sarangi's popularity. Another common misconception about Qawwalis is that female singers or audience members were not permitted. While it's true that Qawwals themselves, as in the singers, are traditionally male, there have been female Qawwals throughout history, and gatherings were always open to whoever wanted to attend. The writings of the female Sufi saint Hazrat Rabia Basri have also been set to music and performed at Qawwali gatherings. The Sufi saint Hazrat Amir-Khusrau of the Chishtiya order of Sufism is widely credited with being the originator of the style of performance that Qawwali takes today. Qawwalis often feature poetry or kafis, either attributed to the Chishtiya saints or in praise of them, including Hazrat Amir-Khusrau himself, Nizamuddin Auliya, Muinuddin Chishti, and Fariduddin Masood, who is more commonly known as Baba Farid. Most Qawwals themselves claim lineage from one of the two later Chishtiya orders, the Sabri line and the Nizami line. Qawwali is, by extension, a heavily familial tradition, and records of master and studentship for the art go back centuries. A master Qawwal often starts out under the tutelage of another, and as part of the troupe of backup singers. And it's only after years of study and extensive memorization of the vast repertoire that each house has that they're deemed ready to take on the mantle. Now let's talk a little bit more about the lyrics in a Qawwali. So the language that the Qawwali is recited in depends on the language of the poetry being recited. Now this is usually Urdu or Persian, but sometimes also includes regional languages like Punjabi and Sindhi. Now, the traditional lyrical content of a Qawwali is passionate and soulful, and often makes reference to subject matter that seem to directly contradict Islamic practice. This is probably best understood when one examines two of the most common themes in Qawwali lyrics. The first theme we're going to talk about is the abandon of ishq or passion and the agony of separation from the beloved. The Qawwal refers to himself or herself as female and poignantly and often heartbreakingly laments separation from her beloved or envisions the ecstasy of reunion. In this context, the Qawwal refers to their soul, cruelly abandoned by God, its lover, and yearning to be closer to the divine. An example from the kalam of Amir Khusrau can be found in Zihaal-e-Miskin. So, the second theme we can look at is drinking and intoxication. As you may know, consuming alcohol is traditionally forbidden in Islamic practice. Qawwalis, however, often feature references to wine drinking and intoxication. But wine here is understood to represent knowledge of the divine. The Saki, or cupbearer, is a spiritual guide, teacher, or saint. And the tavern represents a place of worship, where greater knowledge or enlightenment even can be attained by the fortunate. It's really interesting to note that the tavern almost always specifically refers to a non-conventional place of worship, such as a shrine or even as a representation of the mind and soul of the Qawwal in his quest for divine connection. Perhaps the most famous example of this can be found throughout Ustad Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan's rendition of Ye Jo Halka Halka Suroor. Now, let's get into the way Qawwalis are performed. In the traditional Chishtiya order, there is a specific way in which the pieces in a Qawwali mehfil are performed and organized. First comes the alap, which allows the musicians to attune their voices to the particular raga or scale in which the Qawwali is to be recited. This is often followed by an instrumental. The instrumental is supposed to be the announcement of the arrival of Muinuddin Chishti. As Sufis believe, their saints are free of time and space. They're never dead, just gone into some other state from where they visit whenever they are mentioned, especially if there is a function in their honor. Next is usually a hamd, which is a hymn sung in praise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Third is a naat, a hymn sung in praise of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Next up is the Mankabat Ali, which is a song in praise of Hazrat Ali, the son-in-law of the Holy Prophet, and the first male to accept Islam. Nowadays, these are often combined in the recitation of Man Kunto Maula, a kalam of Amir Khusrau. Next in the order are usually mankabats in praise of Sufi saints. These are various mystic poems set to music, the kalams of Sufi saints, and so on. Next, it is possible that there may be a mankabat sheikh, which is in praise of a sheikh or pir, if the performance is at an urs celebration, which is the death anniversary of a saint or spiritual guide. Finally comes the Rung or Barhava. Rung is a poem by Amir Khusrau. The audience is often asked to stand when the Rung is sung. If it is a particular sheikh or pir's birthday, then it usually is the Barhava in their celebration. Alright, so I hope this has been really informative for you today. See the description box below for some interesting sources about Qawwali, and I've left links to some of my personal favorites as well. Have a listen and let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more from Project Soch. For questions, comments, suggestions, concerns, all our socials are at the Project Soch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.